Join us on our epic road trip across the country. Our goal was simple: let's take a road trip to the West Coast. For years, I'd been attending an annual women's retreat in the greater Los Angeles area, and we thought it would be a great idea to combine the retreat with a trip up the California coast, the iconic PCH, or California Highway 1. I wanted to see the redwoods and visit little beach towns that hug the California coast.
I wanted to visit the PCH, the Pacific Coast Highway. On our way, we stop over in Memphis, Tennessee. Then on to California, where we camp along the beach and enjoy the PCH. We check out the opulence of the Hearst Castle. But will an unforeseen illness force us to scrap the whole trip? Will we even be able to complete it? Stay tuned till the end of this epic journey. In the meantime, let's go.
For our first stop, we visit Memphis, Tennessee. Known as the home of the blues, many people visit Memphis to enjoy Beale Street, its eateries, clubs, and live music scene. It has a rich musical history that weaves the blues, gospel, and rock and roll together. Notably, some of the most famous musicians got their start from there, including Al Green, Johnny Cash, and B.B. King, among many, many others. We visited Memphis to go to the National Civil Rights Museum at the Lorraine Motel. It is a moving exhibit of the events that happened there over 50 years ago. Converted into a museum in 1991, once you walk inside, you are taken through the history of the civil rights movement and Dr. King's work. The exterior aims to reflect the way it looked on that fateful day. They've preserved the room as he stayed in it. I wanted to pay my respects. Atlanta is the location of his birth home and the final resting place of the late Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and his wife, Coretta Scott King. Hey, babe.
I gotta pay attention to the road.
I know. Please pay attention to the road. I did want to talk about what we were just kind of hinting at, right? So obviously this is our first major trip across the country for, enjoyment and part of our summer vacation. And we stayed in Oklahoma City last night, and the night before we were in Nashville, and that was great. And one of the things that we have learned already is just that van life requires so much improvisation, right? So we don't have one of the rigs that was built by one of the big manufacturers. And we don't have a custom. So we decided for us and for our budget, what works is getting a power station and, getting some things that work with that power station. Right, exactly. But at a certain point, you're going to lose power. So the biggest things that we learned was, okay, we got to improvise. So one of the ways we did that was we had to stop at we stopped at a casino, right? A couple of nights ago. And this casino was off of I-40. We were able, it was like $50 to camp there for the night. And we didn't have to check out until 12 noon. and they provided power and water, and it was right next to, like, literally right off of the highway. And the beautiful thing about that was that we were able to connect. We were able to just rest and not feel like we were rushed. So you have to be kind of adaptable, which is what we're both learning at this particular point, that adaptability is one of the best ways to do that. Another point that we learned was the fact that we initially had this very big agenda, right? So we were going to go into Oklahoma City, and we were going to see the land rush, and we were going to, check out the water taxi and all of these points of interest, which we still want to do.
On the way back.
But we said to ourselves, well, what's really important here? Is it important to get there, or is it important to be rested? And with that resting, you can enjoy more of the sights and everything as you know.
Weather didn't permit all that, so we have to improvise.
That's another excellent point. The weather was a factor. It was literally like just a torrential downpour for hours overnight. When we were in that was in Tennessee, right? That was still in when we were in Tennessee. I believe that's where we stayed.
Weather wasn't permitted. We created a rest day and a spa day.
That's right. So we just said, okay, fine. We're going to roll with the punches. The punches were, okay, what's really important is that we need some rest. So we ended up just saying, okay, well, let's just stay in the area. Let's just check it out. And we just camped. We used Camp Cracker Barrel. And just...
We went and got an awesome chicken from Whole Foods.
Exactly.
Ate and just chilled and set up a beautiful spot. Chilled the van out.
Exactly.
Picked up the AC and beautiful night of rest. Watched a little TV. It was like being at home.
It really was.
This is our little home.
It was quite enjoyable, actually, and I would not have imagined it by looking at the Cracker Barrel that we stayed at, but it was probably the best thus far. And best not because, it was in a fancy neighborhood or in, the best kind of location, but it was quiet, and they kept it excellently maintained. Like, there was a guy that was out at like 5 a.m. that was just cleaning the parking lot, making sure that everything was picked up and everything. And so even though we had that to wake up to, over the course of the night, it was such a restful spot from what we had, previously done. So we're on this epic journey across the United States. We are traveling through Oklahoma.
Bucket list journey.
I'm sure we're gonna, screw up, figure out, mess up or whatever.
Run into problems, we'll fix them as they come.
But I think that what I'm learning thus far is just how, at least this phase of van life helps to keep you adaptable and reflexive, because sometimes you have to be reflexive. Like, you have to, like, okay, what in this moment do I actually need? What do I need to...
Just like life.
You're absolutely right, babe. It's no different. So, and the cool thing is, like my husband was saying, this is a bucket list item. We are so grateful that we get a chance to take our time, go across the country, and see the things, experience the things that we want to see, and know that this is a part of our American journey. This is a part of our American experience. So. So we are on our way to Albuquerque, New Mexico. We started out from Atlanta, Georgia. We left a few days ago. And we have broken our travel days up into blocks of increments, either hours or miles, depending on the day, right? So if it's a weekend, we can cover more territory. If it's a weekday, maybe not as much because we don't want to be so exhausted. And so we have a day of travel, and thankfully it's Sunday, and at least at this particular point on the ride, it's fairly clear. The nation has just been experiencing like the hottest time, like, excessive heat warnings. But thankfully today, at least at this particular point in time, it's not too warm yet, and we're gonna enjoy it and listen to some podcasts and enjoy the country as it unfolds before us. So.
There are so many places in LA to visit and explore. I really enjoy visiting. Despite the traffic issues, it's still a cool place to check out. Each neighborhood or city has its own personality, style, and experience. Do you have a favorite place you like to travel to? What's the feeling that you get when you get there? Are you flooded with memories? Tell us about the place in the comments below.
I have quite a few, but none of them affect me like visiting LA and taking I-10 until it merges with the PCH. When I come through that tunnel and see the beach and the Pacific Ocean before me, just under the Santa Monica Pier, there is no other feeling. It's like I'm just visiting it for the first time all over again.
PCH, baby. We're back! One of our must-stop places is Malibu, where we grab something to eat and enjoy the beautiful Pacific Ocean.
After my retreat, hubby picked me up. A hurricane was quickly approaching the LA area. The weather forced us to head north immediately. We arrived in Carpinteria. While we were out of the direct path of the hurricane, once we arrived in Carpinteria, we learned that a 5.0 magnitude earthquake had registered just 22 miles east. Great!
So welcome everyone on behalf of California State Parks to Hearst Castle, built by William Randolph Hearst, who was a very powerful publisher in his day. Julia Morgan was his architect. She was the first prominent female architect of the 20th century. And I'm going to be telling you more about her. She's a bit of a hero here, Julia Morgan. And I'll also tell you about William Randolph Hearst, the man that hired her to be his architect. Progressive man hiring a female architect back in their day. Women were not really welcome into the Catholic art. He was not Catholic and he was not very religious. What he's doing here is depicting the look.
We spent a few hours touring the grounds of Hearst San Simeon State Historic Monument. We picked up our tickets and took a shuttle bus up to the sprawling estate. Construction of the Hearst Castle began in 1919. It has a total of 42 bedrooms, 61 bathrooms, 19 sitting rooms, and is spread over 127 acres with an unobstructed view of the Pacific Ocean. It has numerous gardens, both inside and outside swimming pools, a movie theater, and used to hold a private zoo. William Randolph Hearst hosted an assortment of influential figures of his day.
Maybe it still does look like Never Neverland. What do you think?
The castle was donated to the people of the state of California by the Hearst Corporation in 1958.
Santa Lucia Mountains on one side, Pacific Ocean on the other side.
This is just in case you need some place to hang out on the weekends, you know.
Wow. Look at those gates. Look how ornate the doors are.
Now, anyone can take a tour, and they offer multiple types based on your interests.
Ever heard of her?
Yeah.
She's the one that did Eve all the best in the movies.
I enjoyed touring Hearst Castle. It gives you the opportunity to see how the uber wealthy of the day lived. The tour we selected showed us the grounds, pools, and a few of the living areas.
They were crafted by her craftsmen in cast stone and carved stone, out of cast stone and carved stone. And she designed a lot of what you see in the port around the portal. The portal is that whole area around the front gate. If you go to Sevilla, Spain, you can see a portal at the Palace of the Dukes of Arcos that looks a lot like this. Julia Morgan always used historical precedents for her design. Make sure your flash is turned off, if you would please. You're walking past the Roman tile mosaic from Port of Ostia, Rome. We think it's maybe 2nd or 3rd century. That has been completely redone by a conservator who took every little stone out, polished them up, and marked them, and then had to put that very complicated jigsaw puzzle back together. He said, please do not walk on that any longer. So take a look at that. To begin the evening's entertainment provided by William Randolph Hearst. During the day, you could do whatever you wanted among several choices of recreational activities here. You could play tennis, you could swim, indoor pool or outdoor pool, go horseback riding, go for a picnic down at the beach. But in the evening, you were expected to arrive for the social events of the evening here. There were 3 main social events, social expectations. Be sure to come into this room for social hour before dinner. Be sure to attend dinner in the next room that we'll see. Then you had some free time after dinner, but
This is like King it's not a round table.
not done yet. The leakage has damaged the ceiling terribly over the years, so it has to be restored. She thought that since they were going to do this foolish idea that she'd put glass blocks in the floor as a tennis court. Did you notice those? Like the ocean, the pool looked like the midnight blue sky, speckled with gold stars. Sky below, ocean above. It's reversal. Another magic.
Wow, incredible. After leaving Hearst Castle, we headed to Cambria, a little town south of San Simeon. We had dinner at Lynn's restaurant before checking into the Hearst State Park.
Remember when I said this?
What in this moment do I actually need?
Well, we got really sick, and now we were trying to decide, do we head back home, shelter in place, just start taking medicine, and start the long drive back home? Or do we find a local place to stay for a few days? What would you have done? We didn't know what to do. My sense was that we needed to get to a place where we would not be around people and that we didn't want to be disturbed as we dealt with the sickness and any potential complications that would arise.
We made a trip to the ER to address some issues I was having, and after a few days of rest, still weak and fatigued, and wondering what the effects would be, we recovered enough to get back on the road. But of course, we took it slow. We shuffled our schedules, canceled reservations, and rescheduled others, and took our time recovering on the road. It wasn't easy. What do we do now?